Today I read an article on bookriot.com that talked about the increasingly large size of books that are coming out today. And there was a statistical breakdown of books by page number and by decade, and it shows that now the average length of a novel that becomes popular or becomes a bestseller is about 400 pages, which is way up from previous decades. And the writer theorized that this is because you don't pay by the page, so people are more likely to say, hey, I'm getting a really good value by buying that 800-page book for 18 bucks instead of buying a 150-page book for 18 bucks. All economics aside, because that's not my strong point, I had a request from my friend Perry to do a video on books that are short but still pack a punch. So I grabbed a couple of those, and the first one I wanted to show you is Skellig by David Almond. I was a little bit skeptical when I started this one at first. It's about a boy who really resents his baby brother and all of the attention that's given to the baby. So he goes to a shed on the outside of their property and finds this creature with wings that are damaged. And eventually the creature says that his name is Skellig, and the boy becomes involved with his neighbor Mina, and they try to save Skellig. And in the process, he learns a lot about what he really feels about about the baby and what he really wants from his family. So this is short but very powerful. Another one that's kind of a classic is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now, I think it's probably, I don't know where we stand on this, on how cool this is or not, because it's cool to like it and then it's not cool because it used to be cool to like it. But in any case, it's an awesome book. It's challenged a lot by everybody for content, but in fact that's the way people actually live. So yeah, this one's great. Another one, Homeless Bird by Gloria, Whelan, is a really interesting look into another culture where a 13-year-old girl is married off to a sickly boy, and right after their wedding pretty much he dies, so she becomes a widow at 13 and then has to make a way for herself in the world. It's very short. It won the National Book Award, and it has a lot of heart to it. Where's my other? Here we go. The other YA book that I chose for this is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Patrick Ness was inspired by an idea by Siobhan Dowd, but she passed away before she was actually able to write the book. So he wrote the book based on her ideas, and it has these beautiful black and white illustrations in it. It's about a boy who one night sees a monster outside of his window, and he's just a really angry guy because at this point in his life his mom is dying of cancer. And so it's his coming to terms with what's happening in his family, and actually the monster helps him to do that. I grabbed three other books, I did, from the adult section, because just because it's an adult doesn't mean that you can't read it if you're not an adult. I actually read most of these when I was a teen anyway. So two of them are by Shirley Jackson. We've Always Lived in the Castle and The Haunting of Hill House, which are both fantastic. She really manages to pack a lot of punch into a very short book. Both of these, as you can see, are quite short. If you haven't read her short story, The Lottery, I highly recommend that one as well. That one pretty much, it was a little bit like Prokofiev's The Rite of Spring, and like everybody riot about it because of what happens, but I highly recommend pretty much anything Shirley Jackson wrote. And then also Daisy Miller, you can see there, by Henry James. And this is actually a really accessible James. Most of the time it's like wall of prose with maybe about 2 sentences per page because the man used semicolons like crazy. But this is a really interesting exploration of innocence and the quintessential tour that people took of Europe back in the 1800s, and it's probably one of my favorite things by him that I've read. I was also going to recommend À rebours, or Against the Grain, or Against Nature, it depends on how you translate it, by Joris-Karl Huysmans. Huysmans is how you would say it in French. I don't know how to say it in Dutch. But it's a really fantastic book with pretty much no plot about a man who's completely bored with life. His name's Descent, and his different his Epicurean dabblings in food and philosophy and books and drink, and pretty much how he's unsatisfied with his whole life. And it sounds like a real downer, and it's just a really unique book. I don't have it in hand, but I would definitely recommend that one as well. It's very short, but for the page count, for the punch that it packs, it's really good. So those are some ideas. I can't talk. Those are some ideas for some short books to read when you still want a really awesome story and something that really can hit you close to home. I hope you check some of these out from the library, and I will see you next time.